This conversation is about how we move. It's about how we actually carry out our daily activities and how we look after this planet that so very well looks after us. And tonight we had asked you a little bit earlier, there was a question of the day, and I want my producers to put it up on the screen so that you can see, and particularly how you can be able to interact with it. On Facebook, we exist as TV47 Kenya. On YouTube, it's TV47 Kenya. And of course, our WhatsApp number is on the screen right now. And the question is pretty simple. What should Kenya do to increase the use of electric buses, motorcycles, and tuk-tuk? Right? That's the questions. That's a question that we have for you today. And indeed, the question is ours, but the answers belong to all of us. And we shall be delving deeper into that. But first, here is the bed on which all of this lie on. Now, Kenya has officially launched the National Electric Mobility Policy. And this policy is a game changer. It's been described as a game changer. It's going to change how we move, how we do business, and how we look after this environment. And here with us tonight to help us to understand exactly what this means for you and I, could we be investors? Could we be transport people? Could we be regular mwananchi? What does this mean for us? To help us understand that is two gentlemen. To my immediate left, we have Raymond Kitunga. He's joining us from Spiro, Kenya, where I believe he serves as the deputy country lead.
Spot on.
Precisely. These guys actually are the ones that are making EV solutions locally in the country. And you're one of the biggest brands around that.
The largest.
And is that so?
The largest EV in the country.
And I believe a lot of you Kenyans have seen Spiro all around, you know, on the roads and everything. You're here to talk to us about what you guys are doing and how you interpret this policy.
Absolutely.
Excellent. We also have Michael Nyongesa, who's joining us from Forum Civ.
Yes.
And of course, you shall be looking at this from a sort of environmental and climate justice angle or lens. Is that so?
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
So gentlemen, I mean, straight off, I want us to talk about this, but to kind of orient our viewers to this, one of our people here, Stanley Nyaringita, prepared a short explainer to kind of just prime us to get ready for this conversation. So Stanley, would you please take it away and talk to us a little bit about what's happening? And it's on the screen right now. So, folks, we want to tell you a little bit about this policy and particularly why it's necessary and why it actually came to be. And of course, this is just a little bit of what we're going to be talking about with the gentleman. And essentially, the greenhouse gas emissions in Kenya as of 2015 were about 13% in this country. And the projections indicated that this will increase to about 17% by the year 2030, which is a big benchmark year for a lot of things. And of course, we're looking at about 72% of all imported petroleum products going into the transport industry in Kenya. These are some of the facts supplied by the Ministry of Transport. But these are just numbers. What do they actually mean? So this policy, which was launched this month, is supposed to create a framework, a way for us to operate within this new dispensation. Because I was talking to you a little bit earlier, and our guest here will tell us a little bit more. Slightly more that we've been using, internal combustion engines or fossil fuels for slightly over 100 years, over a century, since the invention of the first commercially viable internal combustion engine by, I believe, the German engineer Carl Benz, I believe. It's been over a century of dealing with that. But now a new reality is before us. And this is the age of the EV. And we want to talk to you a lot about what this means for you and how you and I can take advantage of it and how this particular policy helps us to do exactly that. So come with me. Let's actually talk to our guests. Let's not waste a lot of time. Let's talk to our guests about this. Gentlemen, in simple terms, let's start with you, Raymond. What is this policy designed to do?
Thank you. Very good question. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. The policy is purely meant to help both investors, anybody who wants to use the vehicle, and the country at large. Mm-hmm. and to expand the industry and showcase the immense opportunity that lies in Kenya, and to open up the space for everybody to come and invest. The policy is supposed to create a framework for anybody wanting to join the revolution to know the exact framework or the roadmap for them to use, whichever route you wish to take, whether you are an original equipment manufacturer, whether you want to come and invest onto the industry, whether you want to come and do financing. So it's a whole document that opens up the ocean of possibility for anybody to come and invest in Kenya.
How have things been before the policy? Because you guys hit the ground running and you've been operating without it or before it. How were things then, and how different will things be now?
So there was a difference between the difference is between night and day. Because before the policy, it was slightly a proposal and more so a learning curve. But now a lot of feedback has been given because of learning throughout the phase. And two, also using that learning phase to ensure that this policy encompasses the right solutions needed to grow the industry. Because there's a lot of learning that has been done in all the parameters that I've told you, whether it's investment, whether it's in R&D, whether it's on asset financing, because it's a new tech. You've rightfully mentioned in your preamble that there's 100 years of a particular industry. And this is a very young industry at its infancy. And we are really trying to add on tech onto it, because tech is really fast. So a lot of learning has been done. So the difference is night and day.
Right, and perhaps somebody would wonder, this early into the evolution of e-mobility, have all the necessary lessons been learned? Is this policy actually not just relevant, but actually, safe from being rendered outdated in a year or two? Because the technology is growing really quickly. The capacity of things like batteries is growing. The infrastructure is growing really quickly. And even people's attitudes about this are really, really changing fairly quickly. Do you feel that this policy is beefy enough to deal with all the different aspects of what you rightly put, a fledgling industry?
So it's the right step towards the right direction. The policy will open up a lot of opportunities. Of course, it's an industry that keeps on evolving pretty fast. And you needed the foundation of this particular policy to give you a roadmap where you will now know exactly how to keep on evolving. Because like I told you, the industry itself is hinged on tech, very heavily hinged on tech. So with a policy framework, it gives you that space for you to maneuver around anything that continuously will keep on improving towards it. So yes, the policy will keep on adapting to newer tech, to newer suggestion. So it is made to be elastic enough to accommodate any changes should there be there.
Interesting, interesting. Michael, what do you think from where you sit? What is this policy designed to do?
First of all, thank you so much for welcoming me to your studios and this opportunity to unpack this awesome document.
Karibu.
And I want to begin by saying that it's a timely policy that has been waited for long, because transport sector is one of the sectors that contributes too much to the greenhouse gas as the national greenhouse gas inventory collection. But also I want to query that data in terms of if you're saying that Kenya accounted to 13% greenhouse gas emissions, is it internally as a country, because we have an aggregation whereby we have the energy sector, we have the waste sector, transport sector, and everything? So I think we should have been given 13% of what? But that's just to query the data so that my fellow climate experts don't ask me that, why didn't you query this? Because
what data do you have?
The data that I have is that Africa contributes 4% of the global greenhouse emissions.
And what is Kenya's own share?
Kenya is at the biggest in Africa is South Africa because of the industry heaviness. And you can compare, does Kenya have enough industries to the equivalent of Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria, so that we can amount to 13%? I believe not so. So I think that is the transport sector emissions, the contribution for the national greenhouse gas emissions for Kenya internally in that particular year. But back to the policy. I do believe that this policy opens up opportunities for investment, as my brother rightly put so, that also welcomes investors in a way that, you know, many a times that people make policies, people make laws first and policies come later. And it's supposed to be the other way, whereby the policy comes, then it recommends these laws, it recommends these structures, it recommends this if we need a department or a commission to oversee that structure. But this policy, if you look at it, it recommends proper things that are going to bring issues of charging. It's going to deal with the infrastructure, creating jobs. And as a person who cares about the environment, I want to see more investments in this. So as an environmentalist, I am so happy to see this being set up. The only thing is that I want it now implemented. I want it to be set.
Is it going far enough as far as environmental and climate justice? Does a policy go far enough?
There's a key question that you asked, that the technology in this sector evolves so fast. So has the policy covered enough, or has it been wide enough? I dare say that the policy has been ambiguous in a good way, whereby it leaves innovation to catch up. It doesn't block the old or whatever innovation that exists now to be rendered obsolete in a few years. It allows for my brother here, like Spears and other EVs players, to innovate and fit within that policy. And that is a good thing if you ask me. So if you ask me, policy as it is now, it is perfect for us because we are just setting up our EV industry or space as Kenya. So we need to set it up, succeed or fail, learn from the lessons, then pick up as we proceed. But the policy has an awesome things.
Let me ask you something else that is emerging as a problem in other parts of the world that have perhaps had more time with e-mobility.
Yes.
And that is the matter of the batteries and you know, the waste that comes from this technology, which has been found to be extremely toxic to the environment. How are we doing as far as getting ready to, I mean, right now, a lot of those batteries that are in use with Spyro and all the other investors and all the other vehicles that we have, a lot of those batteries are still running. But pretty soon we're going to get, as the technology gets, adopted and so on, we're going to get into a situation where we have to figure out healthy ways to dispose of, these batteries, and not even beginning to consider the process of extracting the resources needed to make the batteries. Talk to us about that.
Waste has been an issue for this country, and simple waste as organic waste that can be can be transformed into manure. We have not been able to successfully deal with it. And it's as simple as separating the plastics from the organics and everything, and then we recycle plastic and the metallic and the glass, and then we decompose the organics. And we've not done so well with that. But now I bring bad news when it comes to EVs, that electric waste is one of the waste that is so worse to recycle or to recover. And there's a huge investment that needs to go into that for you to be able to recover. Because for these other waste, you can recover almost 85 to 90% of the waste into reusable products. But for EVs, you have to invest enough for you to be able to recover even 60% of what is required. That's one. Two, I think that's one thing, if you go through the policy that has not been captured so well, but the beauty is that the policy is not meant to stand alone. It's meant to also marry into the Climate Change Act. It's also meant to marry into the National Transport Act. Is also meant to marry into other waters. So that whatever has not been captured by the policy or recommended by the policy can find home in another law or in another policy. So which is a good thing, because the policy itself has been selfish enough to only focus on EVs, but not capture the entire transport sector. So if you ask me, it's like a sector-based policy, but not a wide. So waste can feature under waste management policies. And the only negative thing about waste management, it's been left to county governments. And most county governments do not have enough investment or capacity to recycle any waste that they have. Yes.
So that's a concern.
Yeah, that's a concern.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. Raymond, why is this the right moment for Kenya to push for e-mobility?
I think, one, Kenya is a very innovative country. It's the country that gave M-Pesa to the world. And Kenyans themselves are very tech savvy. And you read the numbers in terms of the environmental impact that the EVs are going to do. In terms of the affordability bit, for the longest time, now I'll specifically speak about the consumer. The consumer has always desired to make that transition onto acquiring an EV. However, it was very expensive. Now, merging the policy, now creating a framework where now affordability has been addressed by having more people invest and bringing the prices of owning these EVs at an all-time affordable low is good for the country. Why? It puts more money onto the pockets of everybody who is going to do a commercial venture using an EV. And specifically to say this is we have 2.5 million motorbikes that are running in this country. You can imagine what my friend has said about pollution and about caring of the environment. But there's a silent cry by these guys who want more money onto their pockets while still being able to afford this bike. So for Kenya, the transition is more putting more money onto these guys' pockets so that they can be able to do all the other stuff and run the economy. Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about the practicalities of the savings. Give me an example. Mm-hmm. Your riders at Spyro, how much are they making now, and how does that compare to what they made before when they rode all the other internal combustion bikes that they had before?
So a typical rider might earn between 1,400 to 2,000 shillings using the petrol bike, the ICE bike. But the amount of repair and service, because we know it's an internal engine, it needs servicing after every fortnight, after every 2 weeks. Now, that is not the same case with the Spiro bike, where the service and maintenance is at an all-time low. So this customer that you have rightfully asked saves close to about 35 to 40% of just the service bit. And that is one stream. Now you can imagine if already you are saving 40% of you just maintaining this bike after every 2 weeks, that's more money into your pocket. Number two, they can now cover slightly more kilometers as compared to your normal petrol bike. Meaning there's more money you're making every single time by either ferrying goods or ferrying passengers by you covering more kilometers and putting more money into the pocket. Now in the short run, this person is going to invest this money onto other businesses that maybe he will open up a small shop, maybe he will get another bike so that he can have more money onto his pocket, simply because of saving between 35 to 40% of his daily earnings, because these guys, which form about 92% of the commercial number that I've given you, calculate using the day's earning. So 35 to 40% is quite a lot.
Okay, interesting. But still, that's kind of further downstream. You've already gotten the bike, you're already riding it, and you're getting the results. but there remain a lot of barriers just getting into the space. The cost of these bikes and these vehicles are still quite high. There's also the matter of the distribution network for the charging systems, the swap stations and so on. Talk to us a little bit about that. With this policy and everything, project, say, a year or two down the road, what are we going to see? Are we going to see cheaper bikes? Are we going to see a wider network? Are we going to see perhaps a more stable system, considering all the disruptions in power that exist?
Absolutely. So I'll take you back 2 years back, and I'll use NTSA, who are the body which registers. So you'll find that 2 years back, we had 0.00 something registration in terms of EVs. Fast forward 2 years later, the number has tremendously shot. And for Spiro, specifically, to own the bike, it is the most affordable bike in Kenya right now.
Is it? How affordable is it?
It is super affordable to a point where, like for like, it is only Kenya shillings, 110,000 shillings.
Only
Yes,
110,000 shillings. I like that. I like the optimism here. Right. And is it likely to go lower?
The more adaptable we are in terms of as we are producing more, the price can also go lower, because it will become more and more affordable to make more units. Because when we started, many bikes were at an all-time high. But now, as we went over, and it's something that we should cherish, that it has become more affordable in getting that bike. So at 110,000 shillings, at cash, you can imagine the same bike, match it with a petrol bike, you are saving close to about 80 to 70,000 shillings. Now, the cost of entry is already sorted. It's more affordable for you to get a Spiro bike. It is more affordable for you to run the bike. So end to end, you're earning more money, yet you spend just a fraction for you to acquire the bike.
All right. Michael, I'm going to come to you in a bit with some questions. But earlier, we'd asked you, the folks at home, we'd asked you about, the question of the day. We'd asked you, what should Kenya do to improve or increase the use of electric vehicles as we know them, the buses, the tuk-tuks, the bikes? And these are the numbers or the platforms that you can send in your feedback on. But some of you already sent your feedback, the index ones of this whole thing. So we have a gentleman called Githua. You say, we are capable to fuel our vehicles. I think Githua is not convinced. It's like, we don't need to change this thing. We are able to do that. Thank you, Githua. We have somebody else called Solomon says, EVs na KPLC wanaamua stima kila siku. Ikikuzimia utalala kwa barabara. This is a genuine concern. This is something a lot of Kenyans are feeling. What's going to happen with especially right now, it's raining, And in fact, I had a boda rider one time say, a new rider, he was saying, mvua na stima zinaendaje. This thing will electrocute me in a very uncomfortable place. Let's see some more feedback. You should be able to answer that.
No problem.
Kithinji Kinoti, you say, one, we need to reduce further the importation duties for electric vehicles and motorbikes.
Very key.
Number two, we need to invest in charging infrastructure through PPP or have incentives that encourage private investors to do it. And third, we need to lower the cost of electricity. Decent points right here. Let's see some more feedback. Elias Omolo says, install electric stations in remote areas. This is a factor. One of the people we spoke to earlier told us, e-bike haezi pita Kimende, ama haezi pita Machakos, ama haezi pita Thika, city service only. So this is something to think about. Let's get one more person. We've got Nginga. You say more reliable charging stations. You're starting to see a pattern here. People are thinking about this. Do we have more feedback? Okay, so for now, these are some of the people that have sent in their feedback. Please talk to us. Let us know what you think. Let us know. The question is, what do you think needs to happen to make sure that the number of EVs, we're talking about bikes, buses, and everything else, increases in the country? Listen, guys, this thing for when it rains is a really big thing. But before that, I want to talk about the environment for a little bit. Mm-hmm. What are we likely to see as gains as a result of this policy? Mm-hmm. You know, talk to us. Give us a projection of up to 2030, which is a big benchmark year, big deadline year.
You know, the difference between us and Mr. Richard here is that they get benefits instant.
Right.
Because they sell a bike and they get or they maintain it and that service. And also to the consumer, they get a benefit. But for the environment, people normally, yes, we've been having this forest for so long, but we've not been benefiting from it. What they forget is that the environment gives us marginal benefits, whereby you'll breathe clean air that will help you be safe and not conduct bronchitis. And the environment will give you that soothing. When you're so stressed, you'll walk in a forest and then you'll be so okay. Then the environment, if you and we've been discussing when we were in the holding room that if you enter that electric bus, the way it's so silent and serene, and I was asking him, I've not seen an EV vehicle that has a lot of noise or it's anganya like, and I'm like, is it psychological? Because we may take some things for granted, but somebody wants to leave the office and just have a calm environment that when he arrives home, he's not been bombarded with all these rhythms and different rhymes that he's not interested in. That's just one. Two, if you take a ride on these guys who have electric motorbikes, there's a way they have discipline on the vehicle. Is it by design?
Michael, so you're saying all the songs, Mafrumbanya, Kwanganya, is bad for your mental health, and
yes,
EVs come in to help with that.
It is. Because noise pollution, there's even some decibels, the scientists have that you need to listen. There's a way loud music destroys your ear. And that's one thing that we need to, and I don't know how much we need to tell people not to enjoy the loud music so much. It affects your psychology.
All right, fair enough.
But for the environment, this is going to help us in two ways. In fact, I'm going to link it to the economy also, because we are going to emit less, because we started by the data that most of our petrol that we are importing, 70% goes into vehicles. And if we cut down on that number by substituting electric with electric motorbikes, electric vehicles, even the train, we're going to see a huge fall in terms of emissions. You remember during COVID, because there are no many vehicles on the roads, people were indoors and everything, people from Westlands could see Mount Kenya. That is because there was emissions were down.
Smog and everything.
Exactly. And then another benefit for the environment is that we are going to see people having an interest, like to engage. What have I not been seeing? Why have I not been having this awesome feeling that I've been having, that I can ride in a silent? And you see people start becoming aware of the environment and wanting to engage. And now on the economic side, and let me just link with one of the questions that that person asked about reliability of KPLC. My brother, KPLC, as it is now, of course we need to produce more electricity, but as it is now, we produce almost over 3,000 megawatts of electricity. We do not use that. At peak capacity, we use 2,100 and something megawatts. That is at peak, whereby we are now, during the day, we are using electricity to the maximum. There's almost 40% of electricity that is not used. And at night. Then I was listening to the chairperson of the board of KPLC saying that in some areas, they just need a step down or a step up transformer, because the amount of electricity that they are receiving, they have to let it go to waste, so that the transformer, because the transformer that is receiving it has low capacity, that maximum power, should it come in, it will blow it. So the amount of electricity that we are producing is enough to power this electric vehicle as per now. Of course, when the investments go in, and the beauty about this policy is that if you go through the policy, you will see the proposed setting up charging stations by the highways, charging station at petrol stations. Of course, that's direct competition, but that's how I think it's because people are aware that this way I can get energy.
Right.
at the centers like Uhuru Park, Recreational Park. And it's because the policy is forward-looking and forward-thinking that people will start demanding for these services. And the good thing, I can assure you that there's already renewable energy potential, because Kenya has 10,000 megawatts renewable energy potential, but we are only doing 3,000 megawatts. So the government will be forced to invest more in renewable energy, which is a plus for us. And let me end by saying that one of the countries that has done this so well, and they've been forced by necessity, is Ethiopia. Ethiopia used to be, because they were a dollar-strapped country, because when they were building the Grand Renaissance Dam, they really wanted, because they don't produce these metal bars and everything, they had to import, and when you import, you use dollar. And they said, another thing that we are importing so much that is using our dollar reserve is oil. Why don't we substitute oil and electric vehicles? And if you go now to Ethiopia, the number of the new cars that you'll ride in as an Uber or as a Faras, they use Faras more, is an EV. And that is something that has turned the country. My first time to go to Ethiopia was 2018. The number of old vehicles that I could see, if you go now, it's a total transformation, together with the roads that you've been hearing about. And that is the thing that is possible in Kenya. So then environment benefits.
Okay. All right. Now, gentlemen, what could derail this policy? Let's start with you, Raymond.
No, I think number one is if, we don't get the necessary good investment behind growing the industry, because you need investment. By the way, let me just allude to the question that was there in terms of water and battery. There's nothing like that, because right now it's raining around the capital. These bikes, Spiro bikes, are in the capital. I don't think you've had any case reported.
Listen, Raymond, you're fighting against a very entrenched fear. Umeme na maji.
Yes.
I believe there's even a song out there by Senator Sige, Umeme na maji.
Yes.
How, that's really difficult for a lot of people to consider.
And we've had so many rainy seasons, and these bikes have run in several countries, not only in Kenya. Like for Spiro, we are in operation in 6 countries, and all these countries have rainy seasons.
So there's no fear?
There's no fear.
All right, please.
Okay? So what could derail? One is the lack of investment. 2 is the lack of proper education. Because you'll find that, like what you've just said, if I believe that I only need a fuel bike, and a fuel bike is giving me the same service, I might not choose to move on. 3 is the lack of, maybe say, financial assistance to the customers. Kenya, to be specific, is asset finance vibrant, unlike our neighboring countries. So a lot of the customers right now will want to access some financial support for them to access buying an EV. And it's there even for the price that I've told you. We still have partnership with several asset financiers. So if you lack that, the numbers might stagnate. However, just to counter that, we've seen a tremendous improvement in terms of the appetite for all these 3. And that's the reason why, for instance, as Spiro, we've been able to attract more investment. We've attracted more partnership with renowned asset financiers who now make it so much easy for the adoption to continue taking stride.
All right. What about you, Michael? What could derail this?
The beauty about the policy is that it opens the market to any investor to come in. We need to take care of our Kenyans. Let them invest. Let us invest first, because we have potential, like Richard has just rightly put so. But if we leave it to the big player to come and set up a market, we may end up losing a very nice opportunity for us to invest in our own market that has not been scratched, even by 10%.
Does the policy create safeguards around that? It does.
It does.
So then this is something that, if not done properly, it would result in that scenario, nightmare scenario you've described.
Actually, if you ask me, this is an area that this government can take advantage of in the manufacturing sector. because it's an untapped potential. It's a sleeping giant, whereby the customers are ready to receive. They've done an awesome job in terms of marketing. So people are just ready because people are tired of every 14th of the month looking whether the petrol is going to increase.
The price of fuel is going
exactly.
to increase, yes.
So it saves you that anxiety, whereby you know very well. So it's just a matter of maybe they can talk to Spirit and say, now can you expand your mandate from only motorbikes to vehicles now?
Right.
Yes.
But there's a big ceiling there. All right. Let us sample. A bunch of people have sent in their feedback. Let's hear what a number of people said. We did ask you once again, what do you think we should do as a country to increase the number of electric vehicles on our roads? And this is what you people had to say. Evangelist, this one had to say, is an evangelist, Oyolo Amateshe. You say, we actually need to eradicate those things, especially the bikes. Evangelist, I'm not too sure what you want eradicated. Are you talking about the e-bikes or the electric bikes or the older bikes? But thank you. Evangelist, please clarify to us. Next, we've got Alfric Moreka. You say, those silly things are incredibly slow. Alfric, are you guys talking about electric vehicles? Are you saying they're slow? Please clarify. Let's hear from somebody else. Okoti Odinga say, those things are nowhere. It's a disaster waiting to happen. I think by now we're starting to see they're talking about electric vehicles. Okoti, where are you from? And the evangelist and the other fella, where are you guys from? Where are you speaking from? Tell us where you're speaking from so we know exactly where the gaps are. Who else do we have? Do we have one more person? Oh, okay, they're still coming in. But listen, earlier on, we went to the ground and we were able to speak to a bunch of people. Let's go to Nakuru and let's hear what they had to say about this subject.
Kama inaweza kuwa ati inaokolea hivyo kwa hiyo kiasi, ina maana basi ya kwamba nitaweza kutengeneza faida kubwa, na kwa hivyo basi inaweza kuwa more advantageous kutumia hiyo motorbike ya stima. Ni kwamba kuna mahali ambapo hauwezi pata charging system, especially charging systems ziko upande wa Nakuru peke yake, upande wa Nakuru town. Kina mahali kama passenger hauwezi kuzipata. So inakuwa hapo kuna changamoto kidogo, na inakuwa sasa hapo nayo ni limitations kiasi.
Ziko na mbio hapa town service, lakini ukipeleka hiyo pikipiki kwa highway haiwezani.
Shida ni gani?
Shida hiyo pikipiki demo unaipea hiyo moto demo, moto inaenda mbio. Kwa hivyo inaweza kufanya hata upate accident kwa barabara, isimama abruptly kwa sababu moto imeisha.
Inapeleka mzuri kwa sababu gani? Hii haina service mingi. Hii una charge tu ndio kazi, lakini after kucharge haina kazi mingi ya kutumika. Kupata wanasema maneno kama hiyo, huyo ni mtu ambaye hajaitumia hii mashini. Hii mashini imetumia kuanzia 2024 mpaka saa hii. Niko na experience ya hii mashini. Tofauti ya hii mashini ya mafuta, hii ya kwanza ni security. Hii mtu hawezi iba aende nayo unless wewe uibiwe, lakini sio pikipiki.
Areas without electricity still here in Kenya. Sasa tuseme mahali kama mimi nimetoka ushago kwetu, stima iko only in centers. Na tuseme sasa nimeweza kuchukua hiyo gari nimeenda nayo huko in the remote, sintakwama huko.
Right, these are valid concerns, and we want to take a bit of a breather to give you a chance to send in your feedback, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Need an extra hand? Professional chefs will tell you that a damp dish towel under your mixing bowl will keep it from slipping and sliding on your counter as you mix. This tip works well with a cutting board too. Is an easy way out to make raw onion tastier and less pungent before using it to prepare any dish. After you cut your onions, put them in cold water and soak them for at least 15 minutes. Properly drain and eat away. Your nose alone won't always tell you if your eggs have gone bad. To find out, gently place uncooked eggs in a bowl of cold water. If an egg sinks to the bottom, it's A-OK. If it floats, it's seen better days.
Did you know that the term Big Five began as a way of referring to the 5 most difficult animals to hunt on foot? The lion, leopard, rhino, elephant and buffalo were the 5 large African mammal species that were known to hunters as dangerous, and successfully hunting them was considered an accomplishment.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
What's up? Welcome.
Welcome back. If you're joining us right now, this is the Green Fix, and we are talking about e-mobility. Now, before we went on break, we had heard from a number of Kenyans talking about EV and their experience or perspectives on EV. Let's listen to a few more Kenyans before we come back to the gentlemen to tell us their thoughts. Let's have a listen. I believe we're listening to people from Kiambu now.
Hiyo bike ya stima, mi kulingana na mimi nimejaribu kadhaa, haina nguvu. Bike ya mafuta siku zote.
Ile muda nimekaa na nimeziona kwa barabara, naona zinabeba vizuri, zinapanda vizuri. Ile kitu naweza sema tofauti, asiwezi enda long distance, sababu kama hii yangu kwetu nimetoka home county ni Kitui, na kutoka hapa mpaka nyumbani kabisa ni about 220 kilometers. Sasa si unaona kama hii ya stima kunajaa ina take about 90 kilometers, which means nikienda na hiyo itabidi nichajie kwa halfway.
Sema itapanda mlima, iko sawa. Shida tu ya hiyo pikipiki, ile kilometers inawekwa pale wakati una charge ama una refill, inaenda muda mfupi sana. So watu kama mimi, mtu wa Western, unajua naendesha hii mashine mpaka huko nyumbani. Sasa nikiwa naenda nayo sasa siwezi fika.
Right. I think you're starting to notice a trend in the kind of responses we're getting. Those are practical concerns. These are guys that actually live with these bikes and use them every day. So what would you say to that, Raymond?
First of all, as Spiro, we've over-invested and will continue investing. Currently, we are in 30 counties in Kenya. Kenya has 47 counties, so we are present in 30 counties. And further to that, we have over 400 swap stations spread around the country, all the way from Mombasa to Busia. Now, what I've seen from the feedback is what we call range anxiety, that I want to make a journey, but I am feeling that my journey halfway, I need to swap the battery. just the normal way that you make a journey with a petrol station. The petrol stations are not lined up at every kilometer, the normal petrol stations. You have to go for a certain kilometer for you to find a petrol station. It's using the same route, but as Aspiro, because we've been in the country for the last 2.5 years, you have seen the tremendous investment that we have done. Over 400 swap stations covering 30 counties in less than 2.5 years. Why is this? It's because of showing that this is not just a town a vehicle, that you can literally go all the way in each and every county. And for every industry, it takes time with the right sort of policies that have been put in place for us to ensure that a lot of expansion is done. Remember, putting up a swap station is capital intensive. You'll need to invest into it. And that's why the EV policy itself has really opened up doors for more investment on people to come on and invest on this particular energy stream. So for the consumer, I know the price and range anxiety is usually there. How will I go all the way from this point A to point B? But the more we are expanding, the more we are putting these swap stations to kill that range anxiety, that I need to travel over 20 kilometers for me to find a swap station.
I see, I see. What about you, Michael?
The future is electric. And the main reason I'm saying that is because the amount of greenhouse gases that has been emitted to the atmosphere, we need to like a reboot. And what is the reboot is electric. And I agree with the concerns of the customers and the users. The thing is that there's a lot of investment that needs to go into it. And I really applaud these guys, the Spiro guys, for if it's 2 years and they already have 400, that means that there's a lot of investment, that there's demand. And that's a good thing, because by the people saying, oh, the range anxiety and everything, it means they need demand and reassurance. And it's a good thing. And from the Richard's perspective, you're hearing he's taking it in positively. But as an environmentalist, I would really beseech the people to change their mindset, because the future is electric.
I see.
Yes.
I see. Now, gents, I need you guys, quick as you can you give me 3 main recommendations that you feel, if implemented, that would change the game? Let's start with you, Michael, since you had the mic for now. 3 key recommendations.
If you look at the policy, it's not just a transport or EV policy, it's also an economic policy, both environmental and economic, because it's helping us save on our environment and also saving on the pocket friendly. Let me just add a right on that point, is that I know there's fear, especially as our government economist somewhere seated, is that the more people will invest in EVs, that money that levy that they get from the fuel levy may reduce. And rightly so, the government may lose, but the people will gain in terms of reduction in the reliability on cost of fuel and that monthly or daily budgeting that you'll see. So it's something that the government has to find a balance on how to support its people. Do you want to invest more on fuel whereby it's going to come with its marginal also cost, whereby you're going to invest in people suffering from lung issues and everything? But when you invest in electricity, then you are at least ensuring that there's a... Then lastly, I'll say that to make this policy possible, we already have the policy itself. We need the law and the structures to be implemented. Now we have it. Let's implement it fast, so that we make mistakes or we make successes and learn from them. If we say that we want to already start criticizing or having our own opinion against it, then we are going to miss the point. Let's implement it fast. Then let's measure the successes after we've at least implemented for 5 or 10 years.
All right, all right. Raymond? 3 recommendations. Quick, what do you think should be done that would take us to the next level?
Continuous investment on educating, first of all, the targeted consumers through any means, whether it's government, whether it's as private firms, whether it's county government. We need to tell our people of how good this revolution is. Number 2 is to invite more investors to come in. It's a very young industry. It's at its infancy. So we need a lot of support, both internally and from external, to come in and give it the support that it needs. 3, I think there's a lot of research and development that is needed for the tech to continue becoming far much more better and to improve. Because with research and development, you are improving with the consumer in mind. As Spiro, we continue to do our research and development so that every single time we are investing more on the battery technology so that we address the most pinpoint issues like range anxiety, like how the customer will want the bike to feel, like payload capacity. All this is at our heart of research and development.
All right, gentlemen. I want to appreciate you, but before I let you go, quick, 10 seconds each. There's your camera. I want you to talk to Kenyans. And let's start with you, Raymond, since you had the mic. Talk to Kenyans. What's your one message that you'd like to say to all of Kenya that is watching right now? Just a few seconds, 30 seconds or so. That's your camera.
For affordability, in terms of clean and energy, any single day, make the revolution count. Take a Spiro bike. Take the revolution. This is for you. This is for you to change the generation.
All right. What about you, Michael? Same camera. There you go. The Kenyans are listening. 30 seconds. Go.
They say that we borrow this country for our children's future because our ancestors and our grandparents took care of the environment for us. Kindly, if you want to continue taking care of the environment, invest in electric vehicles because they are a solution to cutting down greenhouse gas emissions.
Interesting. Good people at home. We find ourselves as a country at a very interesting crossroads. We are a renewable energy powerhouse, and even more, is around that is possible. We've not met that potential. But at the same time, there's a heavy reliance on fossil fuels. Will this policy take us forward? Will this policy be the moment of catalyst that will take us to the next level? Well, the question is mine, the answer is yours. Gentlemen, I appreciate you for coming. Thank you for helping us understand it a little better. Thank you for offering insight on not just the potential and the promise of this, but also the responsibility that we bear on our shoulders. Ladies and gentlemen, we had Raymond Kitunga from Spiro. I'm told it's not Spyro, it's Spiro.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we have, of course, Michael Nyongesa from Forum Civ.
Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. You have preached the gospel. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Now, good people, we have a little bit more for you, but let's take a bit of a breather. We'll be right back with more content. But before I let you go, there's a few of you who'd sent in some feedback who are listening to what you guys were saying. And Njuguna Gisho, he says, Kenya to, I believe, Njuguna, I believe you meant ban, B-A-N, not burn. But Kenya to ban importation of fuel vehicles, maybe by the year 2028. That's bold. That's an interesting thing. Thank you, Njuguna. Peter Osumba, you say you should add fuel price, then reduce the cost of electric vehicles. Peter is thinking like an economist, Interesting. Okay, let's see who else. We've got Festo, you say, by making all government vehicles electric. This is interesting. Government is one of the biggest consumers, and they buy a lot of vehicles. So clearly, this is something that could be potentially interesting. Let's see who else has feedback. Okay, that's about that. That was the question of the day. We asked you, good people, what should Kenya do to increase the use of electric vehicles across our country? And we should be able to get answers to that, and we should be able to keep the conversation going on all our platforms. Now let's go over to climate news right about now. Right, and the Kenya Meteorological Department has announced that the current heavy rainfall exceeding about 20 millimeters within 24 hours, which is being experienced in several parts of the country, is expected to continue until 28th of February of this year and is likely to spread to other parts of the country, particularly the northeastern region. Now, the weatherman says that the intensity of the heavy rainfall is projected to decrease by 1st March in Nairobi and the southeastern lowlands and the coastal region, as well as the highlands east of the Rift Valley. However, rainfall of more than 20 millimeters within 24 hours is expected to persist over the Lake Victoria Basin and the highlands west of the Rift Valley until at least 3rd of March. This week, cases of flooding, of course, have been witnessed in different parts of the country, with Kenyans calling for urgent interventions and improvements to road and drainage infrastructure. And according to the Acting Director General of the Kenya Meteorological Department, Edward Muyakane, Kenyans should remain on high alert for the potential of floods, flash floods, and poor visibility.
These areas that are receiving heavy rainfall, floodwaters may appear in places where it has not rained heavily, especially downstream, and people should be on the lookout for this. We also advise that you monitor the weather updates so as to stay informed and make the right decisions. Asante.
And the government has officially launched the Kenya Green Climate Fund program aimed at enhancing community resilience and water security in the Upper Athi River catchment area, which covers Kiambu, Machakos, Nairobi, and Nyandarua counties. Of course, the Environment CS Deborah Baraza said that the program demonstrates Kenya's firm commitment to strengthening climate resilience while safeguarding water systems for present and future generations.
We reaffirm a promise about the people and the people of Kenya. That this project, first of all, is about water flowing in the taps of Kayole. It's about a Machakos farmer hoping for a better future, that tomorrow will not bring climate disaster. And again, it's about a Nyandarua child whose future is defined by opportunity, not by drought or floods. So I just want to thank NEMA for the bold, transformative proposal that they developed, the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry for their support that they have given to the group, because this will bring economic transformation. It is an economic lifeline for the people in the Upper Athi River catchment area, which is a home to millions of Kenyans. And so the stories are being rewritten. Instead of scarcity, we are talking about security. Instead of fragility, we are talking about resilience. And instead of having a reactionary approach to things, we are talking about preparedness. And so we are happy with the proposal, and now that we are moving to the implementation stage. Also, I want to thank His Excellency, the President of Kenya. He has really led the process. I remember just a week ago, we were with him in Addis, and he really supported.
And in the arid lower belt of Muyakane County, where drought has long dictated daily life, 4 primary schools are rewriting that narrative by harvesting rainwater into farm ponds and installing solar-powered IT facilities. These schools are transforming scarcity into sustainability, feeding learners while powering digital education. The story was produced by Philip Mwenyi.
In this part of Muyakane, rain is precious and unpredictable. For years, seasonal downpours rushed across the hardened ground and disappeared. Today, that same water is being trapped in farm ponds built within school compounds at Yeni, Yendelani, Yimwa and Nthia primary schools. The stored water now sustains thriving vegetable gardens, ensuring learners have access to nutritious meals even during prolonged dry spells. Teachers say the difference is visible.
The training they have done in this school, they have enlightened us in many ways. The parents about the health and the sanitation, and also the pupils. They were trained, and we have a 4K club here, whereby we harvest tomatoes sukuma wiki, and even spinach. We also have sorghum and also cowpeas in this school. We have engrading whereby the pupils are taking porridge at 10 and taking lunch at 1.
Beyond the gardens, another transformation shines from above. Solar panels mounted on classroom rooftops are converting relentless sunshine into clean electricity, powering newly established IT facilities. For many pupils, touching a computer keyboard is a first-time experience.
Ile sola zenye tumewekewa zimetusaidia hata kupata service ya computers. Imetusaidia hata ile mwangaza. Usiku tunapata shule yetu iko kwa mwangaza kupitia hiyo njia ya kuweka sola. So tumefurahia sana kwa wale ambao wameona ni vizuri tupate hiyo sola ili tuweze kuendelea kuimarisha mambo ya elimu kupitia hizi systems za computers zile zimekuja.
Parents say the initiative has brought new optimism to the community.
Walimu ninawaomba wafanye juu chini, kwa sababu huwezi ukaingia kwa hii class na hii class ipate 0.
Ukiangalia tu unaona kweli kumebadilika. Yale mambo ama ile shida tuliyokuwa nayo hapo mbeleni, tunaona tumevuka ngambo ingine. So sisi tunashukuru sana kwa hii project ambao Mungu ametuwezesha kupatana na wao, na wameona ni hali ya maana ama ni jambo la maana sana waje watutengenezee shule yetu, na sisi tunafurahia pia.
Nicholas Kimeu of WHH, the organization behind the program, says the mission is to strengthen resilience through practical solutions.
Tunawafunza mambo ya dry land farming, na wamekuza sorghum na dengu na wameharvest. Saa hii watoto wanakunywa uji hapa shule. Pia kwa mambo na technology tumewaletea tumewanunulia posho mill yenye inatumia sola, na hiyo ndio inatumika sana kwa kusiaga uji unga kwa watoto wakunywe uji saa 4. Na kwa hao yote tunaangalia mambo na kuimprove nutrition, promotion of education na hygiene and sanitation, kwa sababu pia hiyo maji yenye tumeharvest kwa tank wanatumia kwa kupika, kwa kunywa na pia kuosha sanitation facilities, choo zao, na kwa kazi ile ingine wanaona muhimu kwa shule.
In a landscape often associated with drought and hardship, these schools are cultivating something different: sustainability powered by sun, soil and technology.
Now, Kenya is home to one of Africa's most iconic birds, the crane. It is known for its golden crown and its elegant courtship dance across the country's wetlands. This has been the case for a long time. But tonight, that dance is becoming increasingly rare. Faith Ongari reports in our special feature, Where the Cranes Once Danced.
Kenya is home to 2 crane species, the grey-crowned crane and the black-crowned crane. But it is the grey-crowned crane that now faces the greatest threat. Classified as endangered globally, Kenya's grey-crowned crane population is estimated at between 8,000 and 10,000 birds, a decline of more than 80% over the past 4 decades. Its remaining strongholds include Lake Olbolosat, Yala Swamp, and scattered Rift Valley wetlands. Even in these areas, numbers continue to fall.
The grey-crowned crane, a species of immense ecological and cultural significance, has experienced a population decline of over 80% in the past 4 decades, leading to its classification as an endangered species.
Wetlands are not just water bodies, they are breeding grounds. Cranes nest in shallow marshes, relying on flooded vegetation to protect their eggs and chicks. Without wetlands, reproduction becomes nearly impossible.
90% of our cranes in Kenya are found outside of protected areas. They're in areas with usually high human populations and large transformation into agriculture in those particular landscapes.
Habitat losses, wetland drainage for farming, human encroachment, pollution, and illegal egg trade are accelerating the decline.
Desert in Marsabit called Chalbi Desert. On the fringe of the desert, there were a number of springs that communities were depending on. They were the lifeline of the local communities. But because of the climate change, the wetland was lost.
As agriculture expansion intensifies, the survival of Kenya's cranes may depend not only on conservation plans, but also on how quickly the law is enforced to protect the wetlands they call home. Faith Wangari for TV 47.
Now, folks, that is all we had time for this evening, but we want to thank you for choosing us to inform you this evening. My name is Victor Muyakane, and on sign language we had Catherine Simaloy. And from all of us who brought this to you, we want to say good night and may God bless you.
Dear viewers, welcome again to another Thursday. My name is Dr. Chepsi and this is Body Garage, the art of well-being. Today we invite you to a very relevant discussion because this is something that is already happening in our homes, and this is something about autism. To start us off, Autism Society of Kenya mentions that the prevalence, that is the percentage of the children who might be having autism, is about 4%. That is 1 in every 25 children. The same report by CDC estimates that 1 in every 36 children might be having a form of autism. So that is what we want to discuss today, and we have our guest, Dr. Neema. Karibu sana. Pleasure to have you on the show. Yes. Before we go to the discussion of today, this time is for the viewer to get to know who you are. Where can they find you? What do you do?
Okay. So as you heard, my name is Neema Lema. I'm a pediatrician by profession with very special interest in autism. I'm actually also an autism specialist as well. But really, the whole motivation is because I'm a parent to a child who's on the spectrum. So that's really where I draw my inspiration, and that's one of the things that, you know, keep me up at night. How best can we bring up these children? Yeah, as a doctor, but also as a parent, because I'm wearing those two hats.
I think that makes sense, because sometimes it is said when something you hear about it, you might not feel it, but for you it seems
something
like
I live. Yeah. Yeah, that's so
personal.
true. Very personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you.
We
Thank you for
appreciate your
having
time.
me. Asante. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just start with the figures that I've mentioned. You know, maybe generally we agree that the numbers might not present the exact picture. It might be more. But if you say 1 in every 25 children or 1 in every 36 children have autism, is that sounds like a significant number?
It is, and actually, as you said, the probability that the number is even much higher is quite high. And you see, 1 in every 25 children it's not the same as 1 in every 25 families. It's 1 in every 25 children, yeah? So the numbers are quite high, especially when you look at if assuming Kenya, I think Kenya we are at 50 million right now. And these are people, a family should have just roughly 5 people in a family, which is 10 million families, yeah? So 10 million families, each family having an average of 3 children. When you divide that by 3, it's more than 3 million homes actually have children who are on the spectrum. That's
that is
a
only
lot.
in Kenya.
That's only in Kenya. Yeah, that's only in Kenya.
All right. That's really. And you off the camera you mentioned that something to do with the 200%.
Yes. Yeah. So when you look at the history, autism is not a very new thing actually. It has always been there. Actually, it's dated as I think 1920s, 1930s, and it was not called autism, but when you look at the history, it used to be called people who cannot talk and people who cannot relate socially. And then through different methods of diagnostic, that's when I think it was only in 2019 where in DSM-5 where they said autism is just autism spectrum disorder. Everything was put under one umbrella called autism. And so it being a spectrum disorder, it means when you compare 1970s to 2000s, autism has increased by almost 200%. So chances are we are going to see more cases. So there's an argument that it's not like the numbers have actually increased, but it's more the diagnosis is being made more commonly. There's that one argument. But also the fact we don't know the cause of autism puts us in a very gray area, because if you don't know what is the cause of autism, then we cannot really say it's going to go down or it's going to continue to go up. Yeah.
So, and when you don't know the cause, you might not have effective strategies to prevent.
Yes. No, you can't. You can't prevent autism. It's something that, looking at my history, when my son was born, he was